Imagine a world where every human life ends precisely on their 50th birthday. No accidents, no illnesses, no surprises. Just a countdown that every person on Earth can see coming. The moment you're born, your clock starts ticking. And society knows, without exception, that you'll vanish the second that clock hits zero. There are no senior citizens, no retirement plans. No one lives to tell stories of a life fully lived past 50 because nobody ever makes it that far. Every moment counts, and everyone knows it. Now pause and really think. How would this shape the world around you? Would school even matter past age 10? Would people marry at 15? What kind of economy runs on a population that never gets old? Welcome to a world where midlife is the final chapter, and the race against time begins at birth. In this alternate reality, death is no longer random, tragic, or mysterious. It's expected, guaranteed, programmed into the very design of human existence. This seemingly simple rule, that no human lives past 50, appends everything we know about life, ambition, culture, and purpose. From hyper-accelerated childhoods to radically restructured governments and economies. The implications ripple across every facet of human civilization. There's no time to waste. Societies are built to sprint, not stroll. And personal legacies become the highest currency of value. In today's deep dive, we explore how a world like this would function. How it would change the way we raise our children, structure our jobs, create art, love, govern, mourn, and even find meaning. And most importantly, what this brutally short lifespan might reveal about our own real world. Let's begin at the very start of life, childhood. In a world where time is precious and limited, how does society prepare the next generation for a life that ends halfway through what we consider a full lifespan? In a world where life ends at 50, the concept of childhood becomes a luxury that humanity can no longer afford. The innocence and leisurely pace of youth are sacrificed on the altar of necessity. Parents, educators, and governments all collaborate toward one unifying goal: acceleration. By age 3, children are already enrolled in rigorous learning programs, not daycare, not playgroups. Programs designed to compress a decade of cognitive development into a few high-stakes years. Childhood isn't measured in birthdays. It's measured in milestones completed ahead of schedule. Instead of picture books, toddlers are given digital tablets. Instead of building blocks, they're handed logic puzzles and code learning tools. Reading, mastered by 4. Algebra, expected by 7. World history, economics, and strategic thinking are taught by 10. Not because society is trying to breed geniuses, but because the ticking clock demands it. Parents raise children not with lullabies, but with urgency. Conversations that used to revolve around playdates now shift to long-term planning. What career path fits your aptitude profile? How do we maximize your utility in the next 35 years? Formal education ends by age 12. Graduation ceremonies are held for preteens, and instead of tossing caps in the air, these children walk into internships, apprenticeships, or direct industry immersion. The luxury of experimentation, gap years, exploration, casual teenage rebellion is gone. There's no time to wander. The world doesn't wait. Emotionally, childhood is replaced by duty. Therapy becomes a routine part of upbringing, not as a reaction to trauma, but as a necessity for handling the mental weight of knowing one's life has a strict expiration date. Kids are taught emotional regulation and purpose-driven thinking alongside math and science. Their role isn't to discover themselves, it's to deploy themselves as soon as possible. Social dynamics also evolve. Birthday parties remain, but they're solemn. Turning 5 feels like turning 25. Every age milestone carries a heavy significance. One more step toward a countdown that ends at 50. Age becomes a measurement of remaining opportunity, not accumulated wisdom. To manage the emotional toll, society replaces fantasy with reality early on. Fairy tales are rewritten. Instead of happily ever after, stories end with, until their time was up and they made every moment count. But while this might sound robotic or dystopian, there's a surprising beauty in how tightly communities bond around their children. With fewer years to spend together, every moment becomes sacred. Parents take fewer photos, but make more memories. Bedtime stories are told with trembling voices. Goodnight kisses last just a second longer. Love, in a world with a 50-year cap, doesn't dilute, it intensifies. But once childhood ends around age 12, society doesn't wait. In this accelerated world, teenagers aren't just growing, they're leading. What happens when youth becomes the new adulthood? In this world, by the time someone turns 13, they're not seen as just a teenager. They're seen as a fully functional adult in training, because they have to be. Gone are the adolescent years of trial, rebellion, and uncertainty. In their place is a hyper-efficient framework of early adulthood, where responsibility, contribution, and independence are thrust upon the young, not out of cruelty, but of collective survival. At 13, you're expected to choose your track. Not what you want to be when you grow up, but what you will be in the next 2 to 3 years. Whether it's becoming a civic engineer, a policy analyst, a medical innovator, or an artist, your role in society must be defined early. The luxury of exploration is replaced with a call to immediate purpose. By 15, many are married. Relationships form young, not out of recklessness, but because human connection and family building must fit into a brutally short timeline. Fertility clinics and reproductive tech are optimized for early reproduction. Most people become parents before they can legally drive in our current world. But this early adulthood is not chaotic. It's structured. Governments and communities deploy sophisticated life mapping systems. AI-guided life planners, neural aptitude assessments, mentorship assignments, and societal integration programs, all designed to guide young people into adulthood with maximum support and minimum delay. Youths attend strategic academies rather than traditional universities. These institutions aren't about grades or degrees, they're launchpads. Here, 14-year-olds lead startups. 16-year-olds join research teams. 18-year-olds govern districts. There's no hierarchy based on age anymore, only ability and impact. Culturally, the aesthetic of adulthood shifts downward. Business suits are tailored for smaller frames. Election posters feature candidates in their teens. The face of leadership is young, dynamic, and purpose-driven. But here's the catch. With the weight of adulthood placed on young shoulders, mental health becomes a national priority. Emotional burnout can happen by 20. To counter this, universal psychological care is embedded into every institution. Therapy is normalized. Emotional intelligence is taught like math. Peer support programs and group processing rituals become pillars of society. And while some collapse under the pressure, others thrive. Many teenagers discover a profound sense of meaning early on, something that eludes many in our longer-lived reality. In this world, clarity replaces confusion. Drive replaces distraction. There's simply no time to be lost in existential wandering. Romantic dynamics also evolve. Courtship begins at 11 or 12, with families guiding pair bonding processes. While arranged marriages aren't the norm, community-facilitated compatibility programs are. Love isn't rushed, but it's intentionally focused, because every couple knows, at most, they have 30 to 35 years together. And those years aren't wasted. Young couples often form co-living creative communities. They work, build, raise children, innovate, and leave behind legacies not in retirement homes, but in archives, projects, and mentorship programs. Because in this world, no one gets old enough to retire. And that changes everything. With adulthood arriving so early and time so limited, how does an economy run when its entire workforce ages out by 50, and most by their early 40s? Let's explore how urgency shapes the economy in this hyper-accelerated world. In a world where no one lives past 50, the economy isn't just fast-paced, it's turbocharged. The entire system is built on a relentless sense of immediacy. Long-term investments, retirement funds, decades-long career ladders. Forget them. In this society, the economy isn't about sustainability, it's about velocity. Every citizen has a short window to contribute, earn, and innovate. The average career spans just 25 to 30 years. That means every job, every promotion, every invention must happen now or never. There is no "I'll get to it later." Later doesn't exist. Businesses operate like sprint races. Startups are built and launched in months, not years. Entrepreneurs begin companies at 14, peak at 30, and pass the torch by 40. Corporations cycle leadership teams every 5 years, because that's how quickly the workforce ages out. Boardrooms are filled with people in their 20s and early 30s. The traditional image of experience tied to gray hair and decades of tenure is gone. In this world, innovation is the currency, and youth dominates the marketplace. Education is tied directly to economic output. There are no abstract majors, no four-year degrees in theoretical disciplines. Every study track is aligned with a societal need: AI, biotech, clean infrastructure, microgovernance, space logistics. Entire industries are structured to train workers who will be productive in under 3 years. And since people are only around for 5 decades total, consumer behavior shifts radically. Most don't own homes, they lease. Families don't accumulate generational wealth, they create impact inheritances, tangible contributions to society. Encoded legacies in digital archives or community resource endowments. Legacy isn't what you leave your kids in money, it's what you leave the world in purpose. The work week is also restructured. People don't work 40 years to afford 10 years of retirement. They work intensely for 20 to 25 years, with built-in cycles of sabbaticals, creative breaks, or travel periods. These aren't rewards, they're necessities to prevent collapse before time runs out. In this society, automation is embraced, not feared, since human labor is limited by the ticking clock. Machines and AI take on the mundane to free up human minds for innovation and emotional labor. Manual jobs are automated. Creative and strategic jobs are human-focused. Governments enforce lifespan-based labor quotas. No one is overworked for profit. The goal isn't to drain people dry, it's to extract brilliance while preserving well-being. Burnout is treated like a national security threat, and balance is considered sacred. Surprisingly, crime rates plummet. With such short lifespans, few are willing to risk their remaining years behind bars. Economic systems are built to eliminate desperation. Basic needs are universally covered. What people strive for isn't survival, it's significance. Even currency evolves. People earn legacy credits, a social capital system that tracks the impact of their work on others. The more you innovate, educate, create, or nurture, whether as a coder, a parent, or a mentor, the more credits you earn. These credits influence access to better resources, housing, and project opportunities. It's not about hoarding wealth, it's about building value before your time is up. Career transitions are fluid. A person might begin as a city planner at 15, become a policymaker at 22, shift to climate activism at 30, and mentor future leaders by 40. There's no time for dead-end jobs or corporate stagnation. If something isn't meaningful, it's discarded. But what happens to culture in such a world? When life is short and legacies are the only constant, how do art, philosophy, and relationships evolve to capture the urgency of being? Let's explore how this limited lifespan changes the soul of society, its culture, its art, its relationships, and how people create meaning in a life capped at 50. When life is guaranteed to end at 50, culture becomes a vessel for urgency. Art is no longer about pondering eternity, it's about capturing intensity. The fleeting nature of existence infuses every brushstroke, lyric and line of poetry with heightened emotional weight. There's no time for creative blocks. No time to waste on works that don't matter. In this world, artists peak young and die legends even younger. At 16, a musician may have already released 3 albums. By 20, a poet might be on their 5th volume of published work. At 30, a filmmaker is considered a master of the craft. Museums and archives rotate exhibits constantly, not due to supply, but because so many creators are racing to leave their mark before time runs out. There are no classics that span centuries, only waves of meaning created by generations that blink out every 5 decades. But paradoxically, this doesn't cheapen culture. It magnifies it. People flock to performances knowing that the artist may never play again. Every final tour is truly a final tour. Every piece of art is a legacy in progress. Love stories hit harder. Couples write memoirs together by age 30. They create time capsules with their children. Digital love legacies are stored in memory gardens. AI-generated emotional timelines that map a relationship's highs, lows, and meanings. These are passed down not to grandkids, they won't exist, but to communities, to inspire, to teach, to remember. Even religion transforms. Traditional beliefs around old age, rebirth, or eternal rest are replaced with doctrines that emphasize impact over duration. Some sects believe that a 50-year life is God's perfect design, a flame that burns bright and brief. Others argue that humans must prove their worth fast as a test of divine urgency. Philosophy blooms. With death no longer random, existentialism is replaced by intentionalism. Thinkers debate not why do we die, but how do we make our time unforgettable. Universities host legacy symposiums where 30-year-olds present what they've accomplished so far and how they'll be remembered. Friendship becomes ritualistic. People hold bonding ceremonies at 18, choosing lifelong friend groups the way others choose partners. These pods live, work, and age together, supporting one another as time winds down. Social bonds aren't shallow, they're chosen, treasured, and formalized. In this world, time replaces money as the ultimate currency. People don't ask, "What do you do for a living?" They ask, "How are you using your years?" Productivity is still valued, but only when it feeds something larger than oneself. Meaning becomes the gold standard. Fashion is story-driven. Every garment tells a tale. 25 people commission life stitchers. Designers who create clothing embedded with threads that represent life milestones, data points, or an eye-enhanced emotion markers. These clothes aren't just fashion, they're memory. There's no nostalgia for youth because youth is the entirety of life. There are no elderly storytellers, no golden years, no reflections from the mountaintop of age. In this world, wisdom isn't inherited, it's generated, recorded, and passed forward in real time. Technology supports this artistic compression. People wear life recorders, devices that track their expressions, thoughts, and moments of inspiration to automatically archive into personal legacy files. At death, these files are uploaded into cultural vaults, where future generations can access them as reference points, mentors, and inspiration. But here's the twist: you can't fake your legacy. Society tracks authenticity through behavioral analytics. Contributions aren't judged by size, but by real impact. A street dancer who inspires a neighborhood can be as celebrated as a scientist who cracks genetic longevity, if either stir something meaningful in others. Funerals, too, are performances of meaning, not mourning. Celebration. The person's archived memories are played back as interactive holograms. Friends and family walk through memory houses, curated spaces where one's life is reconstructed room by room. Death isn't the end. It's the premiere of your life's masterpiece. But with legacies so vital and time so short, how does knowledge survive the generational purge every 5 decades? How do we stop human wisdom from being lost forever? let's explore the intense systems of mentorship and memory preservation that define this society. In a world where every human dies by age 50, knowledge is treated like oxygen, essential, scarce, and never taken for granted. Because when generations vanish like clockwork every few decades, the greatest threat to civilization isn't war or famine, it's forgetting. To prevent this, society is built around one unshakable pillar: every life must teach before it ends. From the moment someone enters adulthood, around age 13 or 14, they're not just workers, creators, or citizens. They are future mentors in training. Every career, every role, every experience is tracked and archived for educational transference. Enter the mentor cycle. This system formalizes the act of passing down wisdom. By law, every individual is paired with 2 younger knowledge recipients starting at age 25. These aren't apprentices. They're lifelines, part of a strategic government-run initiative to transfer memory and expertise before the clock runs out. The process is layered and continuous. Throughout adulthood, people use digital systems called mind mirrors, brain-mapped journals that track decision-making, emotional intelligence, problem-solving patterns, and personal insights. These aren't diaries, they're living curricula. Before someone dies, their mind mirror is fused with a legacy capsule, a personalized, searchable, AI-navigated database that their mentees inherit access to. It contains every major project, thought process, failure, and lesson they ever experienced. These are then added to the cultural memory grid, an ever-evolving collective human consciousness that acts as the spine of civilization. Schools don't have textbooks anymore. Instead, students study real people's mind mirrors, learning not from theory, but from lived, recorded human journeys. If you want to be a diplomat, you study the negotiation logs and emotional breakdowns of the last great peacemaker. If you want to be a musician, you examine the creative routines and psychological peaks of the most impactful artists. Humanity becomes its own textbook. Mentorship is not optional, it's sacred. There are national passing seasons held every year where older citizens formally pass their roles, knowledge, and responsibility to younger successors in grand rituals. These ceremonies are televised, celebrated, and archived. It's not just a career transition, it's a cultural inheritance. Corporate knowledge is handled with precision. Companies operate under a policy called decade drift. Every 10 years, 100% of the workforce is turned over, but not without preparing successors years in advance. Offices include transfer chambers, rooms where recorded walkthroughs, strategies, and failures are replayed in full sensory simulations. Even families participate. Children are taught not only to absorb wisdom from their parents, but to catalog it. Home legacy altars store everything from parenting techniques to personal beliefs, encoded into holographic storage cubes. A child's inheritance is not money, it's insight. But the system isn't perfect. Every now and then, a brilliant mind dies early, before their legacy capsule is fully recorded. In those moments, society mourns not just a person, but a set of lessons lost forever. These moments are nationally acknowledged as silences, days where the world stops to recognize the knowledge that will never return, and they hurt. To mitigate this, backup knowledge is crowd-shared through insight collectives, open-source forums where every citizen, regardless of status, can contribute lessons learned. These are constantly reviewed and ranked by impact, then folded into the grid. Artificial intelligence acts as the great preserver. Memory AI companions called echoes follow individuals from adolescence onward, quietly cataloging their choices and decisions in the background. By the time someone nears their 50th birthday, their echo has assembled a detailed, interactive model of their life. This echo continues on after death, offering guidance, simulations, and inspiration to the living. In this world, wisdom is measured by how well you prepared others to live without you. It's not enough to be great, you must be replicable. If your genius dies with you, then society considers your potential wasted. But with death so guaranteed and so visible, how do people emotionally prepare for their final day? How does an entire world emotionally, spiritually, and culturally process a death that isn't a tragedy, but a scheduled departure? Let's now explore how this society approaches the inevitable, the 50th birthday. In this world, the 50th birthday is not feared. It is anticipated, a cultural cornerstone, a spiritual milestone, and the most significant moment of a person's existence. Because when everyone knows the exact date and time of their death, society must confront mortality not with denial, but with design. The final year begins at 49. That's when everything changes. The government sends a formal transition dossier, a personalized guide outlining final rites, legal preparations, memory transfer summaries, and emotional support protocols. Friends and family begin preparing not just logistically, but spiritually. It's not just the end of a life, it's the premiere of a legacy. Work obligations are lifted. No one works past 49. That final year is reserved for closure, celebration, and purpose. People revisit the places that shaped them. They reconnect with every major figure from their lives. Old feuds are settled. Forgiveness becomes ritual. The concept of unfinished business doesn't exist because everyone is expected to finish everything. Society hosts farewell festivals. These week-long events are tailored to each person's contributions and passions. For a teacher, it might be a campus-wide celebration. For a musician, a final performance streamed globally. For parents, a curated memory showcase hosted by their children. These aren't funerals, they're final acts of presence. And then comes departure day, the 50th birthday. Everyone's death occurs precisely at midnight, peacefully. No violence, no pain, no ambiguity. As the final hours tick away, loved ones gather for the last hour vigil, a silent, sacred reflection period held across the globe. At the stroke of midnight, the person's light release occurs. It's a combination of biotechnology and ceremony. Their body undergoes a painless biodisintegration, transforming into a burst of shimmering particles, harmless to the environment and symbolically radiant. This is witnessed in person or via livestream by their chosen circle. There's no burial, no grave. The person's essence is returned to the atmosphere, their legacy stored in the memory grid. Culturally, death isn't sad, it's sacred. Children are taught from a young age that dying at 50 is not a tragedy. It's a rite of passage, a full arc. It's the sign that you used your time, not that you lost it. Religions evolve to accommodate this reality. Some view the 50th birthday as a divine calling home. Others believe it is a cosmic signal. Once your work on earth is complete, your time ends. Pilgrimages are often undertaken in the final year. Many choose to spend their last days at sacred locations known as departure sanctuaries. Beautiful sites built to honor the end of one's timeline. Children participate in farewell rituals. They write final letters. They create legacy art, paintings, or music pieces inspired by the lives of the departing. This fosters a deep connection with mortality from an early age. There is no fear of death, only fear of leaving behind nothing meaningful. The final hours of life are accompanied by a process called the echoing. It's the moment a person records their final thoughts into their AI echo, which will live on as their surrogate mind. These aren't just words, they're interactive, navigable experiences. People often spend their final minutes saying things they want the world to remember, questions they want others to keep asking, and then silence. No alarm, no scream. Just peace. A moment of stillness observed worldwide, synchronized with each new 50th birthday that comes and goes. Global mourning windows are never longer than 24 hours. The world doesn't linger in grief. The culture teaches that every life has a closing chapter. And dwelling too long on the end only disrespects the brilliance of what came before. And yet beneath the peace, there is a constant hum of existential tension. Because every person knows exactly when it ends. No one escapes. No one cheats the clock. No one survives past midnight. That's the law of this world. But now we have to ask, in a world like this, where time is finite and purpose is mandatory, what does it reveal about the way we live now, where death is uncertain, yet often ignored? Let's take one final step and reflect. Now that you've seen it, a world where everyone dies at 50, take a breath. Because while it might sound distant, extreme, even dystopian, the question it leaves us with is painfully personal. What would you do differently if you knew exactly when your clock stopped? In that world, every moment matters because time is visibly slipping through your fingers. But in our world, we don't have that countdown. And yet, most of us live like we do, putting off dreams, shelving passions, assuming tomorrow will always come. But what if it didn't? This hypothetical world, where every human life is capped at 50, isn't just science fiction. It's a mirror. It strips away the illusion of infinite time and confronts us with the brutal truth we often ignore. Life is short. Maybe not 50 years short, but short enough that we should be asking ourselves the same questions. Are you spending your time on what truly matters? Are you creating something that will outlive you? Are you nurturing the people who matter most? Are you waiting for permission to start living? Because if people in this other world can build legacies, forge purpose, and live with intensity, knowing the exact moment of their death, what's stopping you? Maybe you're 25, or 40, or 70. But what if you treated today as the midpoint of your story? What if you designed your life not for comfort, but for impact? In the 50-year world, people don't waste time on regret. They don't scroll endlessly through distractions. They don't wonder what if. They do because they don't have time not to. And here's the twist, neither do you. So maybe you won't vanish at 50, but you will vanish someday. That part is guaranteed. What you do between now and then, that's your only real choice. So ask yourself, are you truly living or just waiting for time to run out? The 50-year world is fictional, but the urgency, the clarity, hunger to live with purpose, that doesn't have to be fiction. In that world, every life is short, but none are wasted. Every human being is a spark, and every spark is expected to set something ablaze before it disappears. Whether it's a discovery, a connection, a creation, or simply a memory that echoes long after they're gone, everyone leaves something behind. In our world, we've been given the illusion of time. We assume we'll figure it out later, that we'll start the book someday, make the move eventually, say the thing we really feel tomorrow. But the truth is, we're all living under a hidden countdown. We just don't see the number. This thought experiment wasn't meant to scare you. It was meant to shake you. To remind you that your life already has value, but only if you decide to use it. Time is the one thing you'll never get back. And unlike the people in that alternate world, you don't know how much you have left. So make your legacy, build your masterpiece. And above all, live like your countdown already started, because it has. If this made you think, even for a moment, then we've done our job. Now, it's your turn. Hit like if this scenario gave you a new perspective. Subscribe if you want more thought-provoking worlds like this one every week. Drop a comment below. What would you do if your life ended at 50? Would you love harder? Create faster? Forgive quicker? We read every comment, and your story might just spark someone else's awakening. Until next time, keep imagining, keep questioning, and whatever you do, don't wait.